The NerdTable.
Can I see your sword, quick?
It's called Uramasa. He carries it with him everywhere. It was mostly a wedding gift from his wife before he was turned into a half Nihilak monster.
Chris.
Gengar, use Shadow Ball!
Alan. Jason.
My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. I'm going to restore my clan and destroy a certain someone.
The Happy.
I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone. Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die. But you can take it, can't you, big man? What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am.
The NerdTable.
Freaking nerds, bro.
Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. I don't care, I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me.
Singing to the mic.
Take me out.
Nobody. I was singing the mic during the Pokemon.
I ain't coming back.
I don't even know this.
I don't know the word. I know the series. I don't know the word.
You can't take the sky from me.
Where's this song from?
This is from Firefly, a very cult. It's a huge cult hit, sci-fi western made by Joss Whedon.
The writer for Avengers as well as other series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel.
Redbeard.
Yeah, Redbeard.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And this is where Nathan Fillion, the very famous Nathan Fillion, got his first head lead role. Joss Whedon gave him a chance, and boy, did he knock it out of the park.
Where, under what network was this under?
This was under Fox when it first came out.
Really?
But the thing is, there's an important point that the marketing for this show was horrendous.
There was marketing for this show?
Right, yeah, that's a good point. The network basically pissed all over the show. They showed it out of sequence. They had horrible marketing for the show.
They showed it out of sequence.
Wasn't it also in a bad spot too, like up against big time perennial shows?
Right. And the thing is, like, the network, they kind of saw the shows that were already made, and they thought, well, this is not really exciting enough for people to start watching. So the first episode they put out was the second episode. It was called The Train Job, and then they just started mix and matching the episodes to what the network felt how it should come out. When it came out, it did not get any views, any ratings whatsoever because the marketing was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But after it got canceled, there was this huge uproar of the fans that loved the show, and they wanted to get it back.
Now, this is what year?
I think this was like 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
2003 when it came out. So it's been 10 years since the show, and it's gigantic. I mean, when I first heard of it, it was around like 2008, 2009. I had no idea what. First of all, I thought it was another show called Farscape, which is a completely different other show. And I remember a friend of mine, Joey. He said, "Listen, you need to watch this show." He says, "I promise you, by the third episode, you will not stop watching it." And I did. I watched it, and it's one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life.
Are you serious?
I am 100% serious.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, it's only one season because it got canceled. And one reaction that is universal It is universal. After you watch it, you're like, what the hell? How can they cancel this show? This show is too good. Every reaction, I have showed it to my parents, my mom. When I got the Blu-ray, I put it on. I started watching. My mom came in. And
You were
like,
the one that got me into it.
Yeah, I got Alan into it, and it's like my mom was watching it, and she goes, "Oh, I need to see what happens next. I need to see what happens next." My dad was. We sat there. We saw the entire 14 episodes within 2 days. Just me and my parents just watching the show.
30-minute clips or an hour?
It's 40 minutes.
Okay,
Because
so it was an hour show.
It's an hour show, so it's
Yeah.
40 minutes each.
Okay.
And like he said, like if someone says, "Oh, I don't really like it," it says you always tell the person, watch the first 3 episodes, and you will come back to me saying, "What the hell? How could they take that show down?"
Wow.
Yeah, it's superbly written. It's very character and dialogue. Like, that's the strength of it. And you get connected to these characters because their dialogue tells you who they are without having to go through backstory necessarily and really digging into it like that. The way that they are tells you, and you get connected to certain characters, and everybody's a little different. You might not like the captain as much as you like the pilot, or you might like the preacher or the doctor. So it connected a lot of people and they're still playing it now on Sci-Fi Channel. I think
Sci-Fi.
Science Channel is the one that has
The Science
it now.
Channel is the one that's
Yeah.
it's replaying it now.
Is there any rumor of it coming back, or it's done forever?
No, it's been too long. Whedon's moved on to big projects, so he can't turn backwards. And Fillion is getting older, so
Fillion's gonna, and he has Castle. He has his own.
He has
TV
his
show.
own. Is it CBS?
ABC.
ABC.
And the thing is about Firefly is that they actually were able to get a feature film out because of the fans saying we want this back, and they were able to get kind of like that, get that story kind of ending the story right, and so they made a feature film called Serenity, for the Firefly series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they were actually able to come out with a feature film for that show because of the fans.
How did it hold up?
It was good.
It was like it was like a well-budgeted version of the series.
Yeah,
it's all still there. You just can tell that they had more of a budget.
Same
for this one.
characters?
Yeah,
Same
everything's
characters.
the same. It was
Everything's
just
the
a
same.
continuation,
Right.
to finish off that arc that the original 14 episodes had.
Okay.
But it was still all the dialogue superb, characters you care about them, and this overarching story and the differences, the quirkiness, because that's part of it. Like the same way we look at Tarantino movies and their characters, the reason you like them is because they're just little off,
Right.
a little bit quirky. You get that in Whedon's work in Firefly. There are just a little differences in the characters, and that carried into the movie.
Right.
And then they finished the story arc, or finished it as best they could.
Right, because they don't have.
It's not like
just one feature film. That's it. Right.
Yeah, you've got less than 2 hours. You're not aiming for a full 2 hours to finish off something, and like most movie adaptations, it's hard to fit everything in there. But it was a really good movie.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this: I want an example and a reasoning why that program became a cult classic. Because when people say cult classic, it's always like this. It's a very small window span that fans get really into for whatever reason. Alan explained why this is a cult classic because of the writing and the character development.
Absolutely.
And how you get invested to it. What are some other cult classics and the reasoning behind why they became so huge they created their own culture, basically?
Are you limiting this just to TV shows or movies, or?
I mean, yeah, I guess. What else is there? I don't know.
Well, no, because there's a very kind of occult video game that I am a huge fan of. Capcom had this series that was very little known. It was called Mega Man Legends. They came out with 2 of them, and they were back on the original PlayStation. Now, they didn't understand that there was a huge market base and a huge bunch of fans that wanted this game to continue, because the first game kind of introduced you to the characters. The second game, you're already you're engaged with the characters, and you find out that the main character ends up stuck on the moon. So 10 years later, they were supposed to come out with a Mega Man Legends 3 for the 3DS to kind of wrap out that story, how they were going to get him back from the moon, and they were supposed to kind of put it into a nice bow, and then Capcom decided to screw the creator of the series. The guy's name is Keiji Inafune. So he left Capcom, and now there's groups everywhere. I'm actually part of a Facebook group called 100,000 Strong from bringing back Mega Man Legends 3,
Yeah.
and it's not getting anywhere. Capcom doesn't listen to anybody, but there's this huge uproar about this game, to the point that Keiji Inafune he's starting a side project now. He's got his own independent company. He has a Kickstarter, and he's because he's the creator of Mega Man, so everything from like the little Mega Man to Mega Man X to everything else that was, if it had Mega Man on it, he created it. And now, because fans are clamoring for something new, something like that, because it's that nostalgia feel. It's the very kind of occult, like we want to go back to the side scroller, to being able to shoot things, being able to use different powers and doing that. So he opened a Kickstarter for this game that he's calling Mighty Number 9. And it opened at the end of August 31st, and it's supposed to run through October 1st. And they were asking for $900,000 just to put it out on PC.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I checked, they had raised $2.4 million.
Oh my god!
And it's already coming to current gen consoles when it's able to be released, which won't be for a while, because it's still in the pre-production phases. They're still kind of like drawing out stages and characters and stuff. But it has such a huge backing because, this is all stemming because Capcom screwed us with Mega Man Legends 3. So that's the occult game that after Mega Man Legends 2, and we wanted more, we never got it. So now we sympathize with Keiji Inafune, just like in Firefly, we sympathize with Joss Whedon, because everybody who watched Firefly and fell in love with the show is like, Joss Whedon got screwed. What's going on here?
Yeah.
So that's how, because occult things aren't necessarily just TV shows and movies.
True.
Like that's a great example of a video game that I'm kind of beat up about. That
I
want
tell.
I want to know.
I could tell.
Yeah. One thing about the cult classics, I'm gonna focus more on Firefly. What Firefly had is something that no other show before it had, is they were able to get each character their own personality and their own light, and you could tell who they were. You loved each character. It was almost like you were a part of the crew. You were one of those people. You were going along a journey with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're able to accomplish that, to almost make it an interactive story, to say that I am on Serenity, which was the name of the ship. I am on Serenity, and I'm flying with these people. I'm on this same journey. Captain Reynolds, Captain Mao, he's my captain. I'm a part of this crew, and that's what Firefly did with the writing, with the the character development. It was one of the best shows. Like no other show had that. Most of the shows has maybe one or two, maybe at most 4 characters. This show had like 6 or 7 characters, and he was able to write around them, and for you to care about them, not just they're making jokes and it's a sitcom. It's about you caring about these characters, and really wherever they go is where you go.
Right.
And the thing is why it's a cult classic, because the thing is cult classic usually means not a lot of people are following it. The reason why is that because the network really screwed them. They had gold, and they weren't able to utilize it because they didn't have the backing for it. They didn't have the network having trust in them to go along with this story, because Fox Network apparently thought, this wouldn't really work. Right. So we're gonna make it our own way. We're gonna put it out our own way, and we're gonna say, you know what, this is how it should be. Instead of letting Joss Whedon do his job. I mean, to put a point, the reason why Avengers is so good is because he's able to write characters.
Oh my God. The writing for Avengers and the way the little back and forth between individual characters. He showed you in Avengers the long-standing history between characters in one movie.
Right.
Like there's a natural tension between Hulk and Thor, and in a single scene where they take something down, and even in Celebration, Hulk just punches the shit out of Thor and sends him through a building.
Right.
That tells you that's the relation, and that is history, and he's able to do that in little things.
Yeah.
And Firefly had that. And you can tell me more. Did Fox back them financially going in? Because I always felt like Firefly was doing it with like a lower budget. Like they got cheap ended on the budget.
Yeah, you have to remember it was 2003.
Yeah, that's probably true.
The time was the technology at the time was not really up to par.
All right. Well, for me, the thing that kind of defines cult classic is something that has a following without any mainstream understanding. If I told you Sherlock, have you ever seen Sherlock?
No, I've heard of it, but
you've heard it. But Sherlock is one of the best series I've ever seen. I'd put it up there with the British one.
Yeah,
and I think also what ends up with me is things that aren't from this country. I don't discount them.
Yeah.
So I look into them. But it's one of the things that's got me with animes that I've been able to spread downward to the less nerdy among me. Those are from other countries, and I realize they're good. Let me share them. I've gotten animes down to from Jason to Keith to other people, and they get into it because, like we didn't, they're well written. They're characters you care about. We're watching a series now, me and Jason. It's 600 and something episodes, and if I just show you clips, you think it's a complete comedy. But I have never had more feeling moments with a show than I have with this one.
The feels.
Yeah, and it hits you. Like the stupidest things hit you, and you're just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And it doesn't make sense. But those things that don't have any mainstream knowledge, if I told you what the name of the show is, you wouldn't know what it is. None of your brothers would know. But there's an entire very deep and passionate following for it amongst people that not a lot of people see. And those shows, a lot of times, are the best shows around.
Right.
Like, I'm sure, I don't know how much press the Game of Thrones books had before the shows. And I'm sure the first season did not have quite the buzz that everything past it had. But like going into that first couple episodes, you could consider a little bit of a cult classic, a little bit of a cult hit until it took off with everyone else.
Yeah.
So, things that people just don't see, usually what ends up being the cult classics. And they have some of the most passionate fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not to the extent where you're like, "Coño, bro, get a life," but like they really do care about the property, and I think that's also comes into like the comic book movies that you discuss, like how many people are overly passionate. Part of that is that you end up feeling a proprietary investment in the things, and cult classics create that because of how they tend to be in quality.
Right. There's a movie that I just type in cult classic and this one popped up, The Big Lebowski. Is a huge cult classic because it wasn't very successful in the box office, but post box office, it has a huge following.
That's another one that happens a lot of resurgent success, that it didn't happen well at first, and then the second trip round, it comes back. Like, I haven't seen the Big Lebowski, but I know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
you've never seen it?
No. No. Let's not get into what Alan hasn't or may have seen in movies, because you might question your friendship with me, because it's yeah.
Doesn't lead me this to think that, but sure. I'm just kidding. Let's get into the final part of the segment. It's called Shameful Admissions. We'll have like theme music and a better intro than this.
Shameful Admissions.
Yeah. By the way, Keith covered the Come Mierda.
Yeah, I heard.
Oh, you heard it?
I heard little bits of it because I had to do the cutting for it.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Thank you, man.
So this is the part. We'll do this each Nerd Table show, sort of like Come Mierda of the Week. And we'll have other regular segments because it's only going to be every so often we do this show. But each of us have to admit something, and I'm expecting something pretty embarrassing, okay? Well, pretty embarrassing to a certain extent.
It'd be embarrassing from you because you're least nerd among us.
Okay.
We might be a little bit more shameless.
Okay.
But let's see how this goes.
Yeah. I'll start it off just to set the tone, okay? It's called The Shameful Admission. We'll get a title for this. Anyway.
Work in progress.
So, again, I already laid the foundation of most of my fandom comes from what my mom allowed me to watch. She didn't deem it worthy. It was no way I was going to watch in front of her, and she made it difficult for me to get a hands on it. So, I fell in love with the series Yu-Gi-Oh! The Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, watching it on the WB. WB was my channel.
The gateway.
Drop all my homework when I got home. Used to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon, DBZ on Toonami, like from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It'd be WB and Cartoon Network, and that's it. That's where I lived.
Right.
So I would watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Everyone had Yu-Gi-Oh! cards. It blew up. They were everywhere. Two of my best friends would buy the tin cans. Remember, they had the tin cans. It would be like the Dark Magician one, whatever. It would be awesome. And I used to be so jealous because I would beg my mom, please, let me get Yu-Gi-Oh! cards. No, they're evil. They're bad. They're demons. I'm like, Mom, but why? She's like, Dark Magician. See, that's evil. That's the devil. I'm like, it's not the devil. It's just a guy. Come on.
When did your mom become Mrs.
Yeah,
Boucher?
I know, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. But,
Sanchez Boucher, that's for the devil.
Yeah, I invented it. Anyway, so what I used to do, I would go to my grandma's house, and I had enough of not having any cards. And the thing is, my brothers also enjoyed the TV series with me. So what we did was, on notebook paper, I literally wrote out Dark Magician, Blue White Dragon, Celtic Guardian, like all the different characters, and I would assign the deck of cards, to the title. So it would be 5 of spades, that's the Dark Magician. 6 of spades, you know what I mean? So I would assign it to and as each episode came and new cards were shown, we would add it to the list and play with it. And we would play with our regular deck of cards.
There you go.
Using the format that they had. We had the hit points, everything that they had. And this went on, I would say, for about 9 months. That I would play Yu-Gi-Oh! I would play Yu-Gi-Oh! cards
with a deck of cards.
With the deck of cards, but we had to make the deck ourselves, basically. So I did that, and this is when I'm like in 10th grade, 9th grade. You know, instead of trying to get with girls, I'm like working on my deck. You know what I mean? So
that is awesome.
That's my first shameful admission. You guys next.
That was good.
Yeah.
Okay. And most of these are going to come with my time working with kids because that's where the disconnect of nerds tends to be. I once taught some first graders what a force choke was.
Oh, God.
Just so I could amuse myself, and I would put the hand up, and it was like 3 or 4 of the gifted kids who understood what it was, and they would get up in the middle of homework and grab their necks, like, and then the real smart one, whenever I'd move my hand, would follow, and she'd throw herself one way and throw herself the other way, and then I'd put it down, and she'd be like, "Thank you," and go back to her homework.
She's going to have some real depressed sexual tension when she gets older. She's going to be like, okay. Did that just get weird?
Yeah, why do you go there with its kids, man?
Wow.
Weird.
When she gets older. Anyway.
Oh.
You guys, Keith, Jason, jump in.
Oh, I thought we were going in this.
All right, I'll go. So earlier in the show, I mentioned that back in the day, I used to be a boss at Pokemon cards, and I was 4th in the state.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Royalty.
I was 14 then.
I think you know where you're going.
Now, this is how far from my reign I have come, and this is my shameful admission. We went to a Pokemon tournament up in Cocoa, Florida. So we had to drive up there.
How long ago?
This was
it was in March. We were doing the sports day.
This was
that's right.
This was in March. It was myself, Alan, and Ebes, and we went up there. And normally, I'm a very humble guy, and I kind of think to myself, "Oh, whatever. I'm gonna go through things, and I'm gonna do my best." And then every time anybody would ask the 3 of us about it, what was gonna happen when we got there, Alan would say, "Well, I'm gonna suck. I'm gonna lose. Eves is gonna lose, but Jason's gonna wreck everybody."
Yeah, I became his hype man.
So he started hyping me up, and eventually I started believing the hype.
You started buying it in.
Yeah. So the day of the tournament comes, and we go all the way up there, and I'm excited. I was very proud of my deck, And I was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. So you're guaranteed 8 matches. And then depending how you do from that point on, you go into like the elimination round. Needless to say, none of us made it to the elimination round.
Oh, no. Ha, ha, ha. Nope.
Like, understand that we think that we're good.
As we all do. Yeah. As we all do.
They went into the land of the Gnerks.
Put it this way, in those cards, there's like the rarest versions are called full art cards. So instead of just like the little box, the entire card is a holographic artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Every deck had full art hologram, and that's just what was in the deck. They all had binders, and they would get in groups and then like start trading off. Hey, you know what? I kind of want a Mewtwo full art. You got one? Yeah. I'll give you that for a Darkrai. Okay. And they would switch off. We show up there with a tin and a duffel bag full of cookies.
Uh-huh.
So
Switchblade to a gunfight, yeah.
So my first match, I didn't get one turn.
He beat you in the first turn?
Yes.
He beat you in the first turn? How is that possible?
All I had was a Squirtle, which only has 60 HP, and I had no bench. So if you get knocked out and you have no bench, then
you got no Pokemon to play on
Why
the turn.
don't you have
you're
a
out.
bench?
You just didn't have anything in the hand.
It depends on
Whatever
how you draw.
Whatever
It depends on how you draw, because you
okay.
draw 7 cards. And
He
you
didn't
set
do it on
6 card
purpose.
cards.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's
like,
not like I planned
not
it. That
trust
way.
in a Squirtle.
Idiot. What's wrong?
I didn't at all plan it that way.
My Squirtle's a boss.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say.
So
It's very special.
I had the Squirtle out there, and the guy like full out strategies me to death because his attack actually did like 20. But then because of an effect, it did an extra 30, and then in between turns, I took poison, so it did 60, and I died before it got to my turn.
He didn't even get to draw a card.
Nothing. I had nothing going.
Well, that's
for
just
me.
not fair.
But
That has to be a rule.
I would flip the table and yo, Mulligan!
Yeah.
So, and that was that set the tone for the day. The rest of the day, the other 8 matches, I ended up losing every match by 1 card. I needed 1 card, or they got 1 card right at the right moment.
Yeah.
I'm about to win. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, finally, I'm going to get my win. And suddenly, God or karma or whatever it was.
Arceus.
The heart of the cards, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that. I know it.
The heart of the cards was clearly not with me that day because Alan had inflated my ego. So I came in there thinking, "Oh man." So to wrap up the
Just
story.
imagine he's like what's this Sucio from Flavor Flav?
Yeah.
That was his Flavor Flav. Like, yeah, boy.
No, I imagine the N1 tour, like the
gosh.
big
Oh,
guy
yeah, the
with the
announcer.
mic. Oh baby, just as he's walking through. Yeah.
So to wrap up the story, my last match of the day ended in the same way all the other ones did, with me losing by a single card because I was about to do my final attack, and the heart of the cards was with this young girl because I played a trainer thinking that it would screw her over. It gave her the 1 card that she needed. So she played that card, drew her new hand, got the other card that she needed, used it, and I lost.
There's divine intervention.
So what was your record that day, Jason?
1-7.
Oh, so you beat somebody?
No,
Oh,
I had a bye,
oh, you hit a bot.
and it counted as a win.
Okay.
But that wasn't the worst thing. The worst thing was that as I am defeated and I turn around and I'm talking to Eves and Alan, they both tell me, like, you realize that girl just skipped away from you, like, exceptionally happy.
Yeah,
I'm
she was like 14.
I was like, oh.
Like she got
was-
up, put the arms in like flight position, and just went bloom, bloom,
Oh
bloom,
my
bloom, and went away.
gosh, completely
Now,
emasculated.
they were all completely emasculated. It gets worse because there are these uber Pokemon Gnerks who have placemats that
Oh
are
my
like
God.
mouse pad material.
Mhm.
And most of them are very Pokemon related at some point. No, this girl who beat me on that last turn had a My Little Pony one.
Right.
I didn't know that part.
Right.
It was just insult to injury.
It wasn't even like My Little Ponyta. It's just like just
No, it
completely
was
an
just
out
My
of
Little
genre.
Pony,
Yeah.
rainbows, and things everywhere. And I was like, oh, this
That's
is what
terrible.
I've come to. From fourth in the state to
It's getting beat by a 14-year-old.
You know what else is funny? His hype man beat 2 actual people.
That's what it is. You just set low standards so you can never get
Yeah,
disappointed.
I was the clubhouse leader with 2 actual people beaten, which was a bad showing by the 3 of us. Because I think Eames on his first one was playing a guy who ended up going really far, but the guy talked down to him like he was a 5-year-old. Like, honey, do you understand what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Honey, you sure you want to do that? All right, honey, go ahead. Attack? Okay. Honey, you should probably play a trainer card. Like, imagine a grown-ass man being told, honey, by a black fellow.
Right.
Like, very flamboyant fellow. It was
Hello.
very weird, yeah.
I gotcha. Keith, you got one?
Yeah, mine's not really like an embarrassing story. Well, it kind of depends on where you're looking at it. I'm currently a coach for my old high school for track and field. I'm a throws coach. And my first year that I coached, nobody on the team really knew me. And apparently, if you don't know me and you just see my face, I look like a very scary person, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And
Having half a beard will do that.
yeah, they thought I was a psycho. And I would work out, to show the kids how to work out, and apparently, I don't know, I guess I'm really strong or something, I don't know. So I had this perception of the whole team, mind you, the whole team, like even my throwers were like a little bit scared of me. They didn't really know me yet, and I'm just there lifting weights, showing how to do it, and I was very intense because when I get working out, it's just time to work out, and when it's time to practice, it's time to practice. And they were, like, dude, this is a hard guy. That's a hard nigga,
Yeah.
and I was like that for a couple of weeks because I haven't really developed a relationship with the kids yet,
Right.
and so they all think of me in a certain way. And then one time in the weight room, they start discussing about Star Wars, and they start discussing about other nerdy things, and they're talking garbage. They have no idea what they're talking about. I just let them go, and they're talking just garbage about Star Wars. Like, they have no idea what they're talking about.
Like they're talking bad about Star Wars?
No, they're just talking nonsense.
They're talking
Like,
nonsense. They don't know
ignorant.
what they're talking about.
Okay.
They're saying the episode 1, 2, and 3 was the best of the entire series.
Uh-huh.
And the new episodes, Anakin Skywalker is so good, and they're just going on and on. All of a sudden, I just couldn't take it anymore. My nerd fury
There you go.
boiled up, and I just turned around and I gave them a diatribe of everything, what Star Wars, what the Force is, how it is now, what has changed. I went into psychology, the mythology, everything that I knew about Star Wars,
Right.
and then they just looked at me, and they go, "My God, you're a nerd."
Did you raise your hands and be like, yeah?
I looked at him, I go, "You're damn right I am." And I was legitimately mad.
Right.
Because they are sullying my fandom of Star Wars, what I know about Star, and I would say it was about a 15-minute rant of just things that just correcting them, and then you just see them like their eyes are just so confused, like, this guy, he's supposed to be scary. All of a sudden, he's a nerd? And then I looked at him, I'm like, damn right I am. And I walk out, and then I'm like, oh no, what did I do?
You lost all of
I
it.
lost all that fear, and
Yeah.
that would be one of my
That's funny, man.
one of my
Let me ask you a
moments.
question. Have you ever gone into nerd and had your head coach kind of look at you funny or reprimand you for the timing of it?
No way.
I've had that a couple times.
The head coach that we have, he's the coolest guy in the world.
I've been told that my movies are unusual because when Transformers came out, I was so into it. Thought it was the greatest thing ever, just because it was giant robots. And Prusner was like, "Coach, no, It's robots now. He also got mad at me once. We were doing travel ball. Your brother, your damned brother, tricked me into a conversation about Spider-Man during the 1, 2, 3 team.
Right.
So midway through, he just starts it, and I just start going off on a diatribe, and Brusner just hits me in the shoulder. Goes, get it? Oh, my bad. 1, 2, 3 team.
Yeah, one thing about the track team now, I am the correspondent for everything nerd. They come to me and say, "Whoa, what's this new thing about Batman? What's this Superman, Spider-Man? What's the story behind this guy?" Like whatever nerd information they need to know, they don't go to Google. They go to Coach Keith.
I mean, you lost a new persona. You could have been a completely new guy to them, completely,
Yeah, but let's be honest. That persona's not as interactive and fun.
Well, no, yeah, but I'm saying he could have been something new.
He could set their lives straight in nerddom, because now he's opened the gate. They could have just been like, oh, whatever, I'll watch this stupid thing, but he could set them on the path of good shows.
And I have
Spread the word of Firefly.
Spread the word. Yeah,
Firefly, man. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Just spread out good shows like that.
Mm-hmm.
The gateway of nerddom.
Well, listen, I've enjoyed this. This has been pretty fun.
And that's without the Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
That's without the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'll make my own anyway. It doesn't matter. Do you guys want to get into? Do you guys want to get into the one nerd debate, or we'll save that for the next show?
Whatever you want, Papa.
Yeah,
you are our leader. You're just merely
you
your
know
nerd
what?
armor.
You know what? My second win. Let's get into it.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Each show, we're going to have one of these shameful admissions, and each show, we're also going to have a nerd debate. Now, the nerd debate can be, it falls under a lot of lines. We're going to start off very simple. This is sort of like the California roll, the very simple, easy training wheels question, so that in the next one, we'll all come prepared with stacks, facts, and everything. Okay? My question to you guys, and I'm going to set it up in a way where there's going to be limitations on it.
Okay.
My question is, in your life, you yourself, Keith, Jason, Alan, and Chris, we're ourselves. We're not extra. We're not Peter Parker. You know, we're ourselves. Everyday life. If you could have only one power, what would it be? I'm not talking about Spider-Man, where you have the ability to climb up walls and shoot webs.
Yeah, just one
and
specific.
Spidey sense. Just one specific.
Spider-Man in most incarnations does not shoot webs. Sir.
I know. I just said one only. I said 2 out of 3. It's not bad. Anyways, you could have one. You could have one power only to live in your everyday life. Now, mind you, just be careful. Everyday consequences. If you have, if you draw a lot of attention to yourself, you're going to end up being government tested and, what I mean, used as a weapon, whatever. Because that's how the reality of the world is today. So one power only, what would it be? I'm going to start off with Jason.
Oof.
One power.
One individual power? Gravity.
Yes. Gravity.
The power over gravity?
I want to be able to control gravity.
To control gravity?
Yep.
Yeah. Remember, we talked about this once. If you control a natural force, any one
Let him
force,
explain. What are you doing? Come mierda on this guy?
Yes.
Let him talk
I'm
about
stealing it. Go.
Basically, I feel like gravity is the most useful thing for everyday situations, because if you want to get out of a fight, you could just shut off the gravity around somebody and send them flying into the air and never have to deal with them again.
That seems very cruel.
Hey, come mierda,
I am
shut
an
up.
asshole.
Okay.
I am absolutely an asshole.
Okay.
That's why in your...
You are? I thought you were the healer.
I am the healer.
You're
when that's
the
my
healer
role.
also. So when you're healing me, you're giving me attitude like, again?
Pretty much. Pretty much. If I'm by myself, I'm an asshole. I can't stand it if I have to work with other people. If I'm supposed to be by myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm an asshole.
Okay.
If I'm in a team, that's a completely different thing. I'm a team player. But if this is my everyday life, I'm looking out for number one.
Okay.
I want to control gravity. And
So in everyday life, you're not going to be fighting somebody. So what would you use the gravity power for?
I would no longer do menial tasks. I would absolutely become a supervillain.
So you'd be a bad guy, and then
Hell
you would basically
yeah.
have the world hunt you.
All right.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you, let's not even go hero villain. Wouldn't you just never have to worry about like picking up heavy shit? at the very menial level.
Yeah, but how am I gonna get paid?
The world's strongest man
No,
competition.
you do that. You could do World's Strongest Man and be the modern Marvel, picking up
Just a
half-ton.
small guy, just lift up 1,000 pounds.
And they're like, "What the hell?" And then you drop it, disengaging your power, and it crushes whatever it lands on.
So basically,
No,
with
I
that
would
po-
add extra power. Just
to make sure it
it goes
digs into the ground.
Yes.
You would basically become, with that power, what you're saying, you're essentially becoming a YouTube sensation.
Absolutely.
So that's what it would be.
I love how that's what you wait with YouTube.
Yeah, he would be a YouTube sensation. If you're thinking about it in everyday life, that's what you would be. You would be a YouTube sensation because you're not going to be fighting anybody. You just be yourself. So, okay, congratulations. You and Chocolate Rain can enjoy that. No, because the thing is, I'm trying to be. I think we should all. Everyone else should be the devil's advocate and just poke holes through it.
Okay.
I can't poke holes through this one because if among natural forces, gravity is my second choice.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of controlling gravity.
It's a very
So I
cool
support
idea,
him
but
on it.
how could you use that in everyday life? Again,
In practicality, if you have the ability, I'm not talking about full disengage. If you can add and subtract in percentage, all things become liftable.
Okay.
Or on the opposite.
So what does that mean, though? You have the greatest moving company ever.
No,
like,
no.
Put that in practical terms.
You yourself are lighter, so the strain on your body is less.
Okay.
And
you
you
live
live
longer.
But then again, your bone density goes down.
I was gonna say, and your
density goes
muscle
down.
dystrophy, right? Because you don't have.
I'm not saying a full disengage. You can just do it at 75%. If you have that,
That's worse.
That's why people
horrible.
can't live on the moon.
Well,
Exactly.
All right. Any
Poking holes in
poke
your-
holes.
poke
That's
holes in that
exactly
crap.
right.
anything you have to do can be made easier if the object is lighter, or if you want to screw with people. For instance, you have two brothers. Let's say they agitated you. What would happen if their shoes were an extra 10 to 15 pounds all of a sudden? Like
You know what this sounds
but
like?
but
This
that's-
sounds like a power for the complete lazy man.
Yeah, man.
Well, no, it can be. Really, it's like angry telekinesis if you think about it, because it involves weights, not actual lifting. But you could be very lazy, or if you can pull on gravity, you can simulate telekinesis.
What
with
does
it.
that do? What does that do for the actual globe itself? Wouldn't that tilt it off the axis or throw off?
Yeah.
Some sort
I
of
would
natural.
think if you exert too heavily, maybe it'd be a bit of a dangerous thing. If
I mean,
you're-
it's got to be something
if
to
you're
the climate or whatever. If you're drawing,
disengaging someone, no problem. You're just disconnecting them from gravity, which will send them into space immediately.
Mhm.
Like there's no, there's, and he's gone.
But it's them and also everything above them too, right?
No, you would be disconnecting that person's connection to gravity, is what he was saying.
Okay. I still don't see. I mean, that'd be a terrible thing to do if you're an actual person.
That's
in
a
real
horrible.
life.
Yeah, you're a horrible person to
I
do
am a
that.
horrible
Yeah.
The only cool thing I can see from that is you can simulate flight, and that's about it. Because
Yes.
you can
Why would
increase
you
the gravity
simulate
going up.
flight?
Well, the reason you would go with simulate flight, because since you're doing something similar by pulling your own gravity along wherever you want, you're flying.
You can't pull yourself forward.
Yeah.
Oh, you
You
can't
have
pull
to-
Well,
yourself
think about
forward?
You
it.
just changed the
Gravity's-
point of gravity.
is pulling us
down, right?
But if we say we want gravity to go to our right, we will fly to our right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it creates a flight-like ability.
So it'd be constantly falling.
Correct.
Yeah.
You would
That,
be-
that sensation
that-
of the G force would constantly be there.
yeah.
Correct.
If you're doing it at a full tilt, yeah.
Okay.
But then you
Enjoy
have
that.
you have a flight-esque power with other things attached to it. The other abilities, the ability to make other people suffer more or make them
God,
suffer less.
man.
No, hey, any power can be made into some horrible act of war.
I get that. So basically, you're a YouTube moving company that that constantly has motion sickness.
That never
because
needs a
you
car.
have- yeah, exactly.
Who the fuck do we need cars? Jason, do you need a car?
No, I don't need.
I don't need a car.
Okay.
My
And I,
power.
and I don't
That's a
get
good
motion
one.
sickness. I'm actually.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
You're
I've
good
never-
with motion sickness.
I've never
Yeah.
had an issue with motion sickness
Well,
at all. Like
Let gravity pull you to the right and to the left and see how that works.
I would control it, so I would stop myself when I'm when I.
Yeah, you
oh,
would slow down. It just wouldn't be like, okay, re-engage.
It'd just be so funny, Jason. Yeah. Just constantly, like your neck tilted back, and you're just constantly being dragged. Okay, that's Jason's gravity. Who's next? Who wants it next?
I'll go.
Okay.
I would. Oh man, it's very difficult. I have between two that I would do, but since we're going everyday life and all that stuff,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I wouldn't pick, but it's one of my forerunners is healing. That healing ability, if you get cut, you heal, you never get sick.
The Wolverine?
Like the Wolverine, a perfect example.
Okay.
But that won't really help me do things. So my number one would be a technopath. I can control technology. I can speak to technology.
You can speak to technology.
Correct.
Okay.
So, in a sense, I would be the best bank robber of all time.
Yeah.
Because I could tell the computers to say, listen, my bank account now has $1 million. And I have basically the paper trail to say that, yes, I legitimately have $1 million in my bank account. And I can even go into a bank, draw out money, and what I do is I change the ones and zeros in the cameras. That is not me at all. I was never there, or I'm a completely different person. So that would be my... For today's day and age, we're not going into another universe or whatever. In today's day and age, I will be a technopath because I would not need to work a day in my life. I would just travel the world. I would buy all the video games and comic books that I can buy.
Now explain this to me. How much are we talking about? Are we talking about a life that you can enjoy yourself, or enough that it'll cause inflation in the economies and the IRS will say, man, what's going on?
The thing is about that is, obviously, I need to understand that I cannot put into my bank account $10 billion. Because that's stupid.
Well, I think so you can leave the paper trail.
The thing is, $10 billion, you get into your territory of inflation. All of a sudden, I own all the money.
Right.
Who is
you
this?
are the 1%.
Yeah.
It's just Keith's head, just like at the top of the pyramid.
It's all of the Senate. That bastard, more taxes on Keith.
Yeah, it's no longer the eye above the pyramid. It's my head on the dollar
it's
bill.
It's just the half beard, right?
Yeah, dude. Obviously, you're not stupid enough. I mean, obviously...
Well, that's why I asked.
Like every company, especially the big companies, they usually round off their accounting at the end of the day, at the end of the month. They have like percentages of cents that they just round up or round down. Now I could collect all those percentages of cents into one bank account, because they don't notice what
By the way,
it is.
this is a classic techno robbing scheme.
Absolutely, I learned.
And
this.
how do you get access to all this?
I'm a technopath.
Okay.
So you can speak
what he's trying
to it
to
like you're
describe,
speaking to a
what he's
person?
trying, imagine a telepath, someone that can go into your mind and do things in your mind, but instead of minds, he does it to tech.
Did you guys run this by Alan? Because I feel like Alan's
We've had this discussion
your attorney before.
We've had this discussion many times.
Okay.
All right.
This is just the first time it's been done on air.
It's documented.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, I communicate to ones and zeros, which is computer language. Ones
Right.
and zeros. I speak that language.
By the way, this wouldn't work with toasters.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But then again, when was the last time you used a freaking toaster?
I use a toaster.
You use a toaster?
Yeah. What else is there?
A blowtorch?
A blowtorch?
That is a half beard answer.
Well, okay, going back to my point, the technopath, I would get those cents, those fractions of cents, and put into a bank account.
Yeah.
And I would have, the paper trail or whatever, and that would be my money. I wouldn't go out and say I own 90% of Microsoft.
Now you're talking about you would have to literally speak to each computer in order to get that. How would you get access to that computer?
Well, there's a network, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I would get into the network.
Once you're online, it's all connected.
Absolutely.
And in his case,
now the only way that
bypassing
it restricts people to getting that information, there's firewalls, there's different things that have security.
Yeah.
Obviously, I speak to the computer. I would say,
Hey, buddy,
remember me? Come on, let me in there. We're buddies. How long we known each other? 2 minutes? Hey, how many cycles is that in computers?
He's talking to the
10,000
reboot guy.
cycles. Yeah.
Rob and Megabyte's like, what is this guy doing?
Where's this guy with the half beard? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm a technopath, so that would be easy for me.
Easy. Poke holes in this with me.
You can't poke holes because it's the best.
The holes to poke are that physically there is no benefit. There's zero physical plus.
But then again, who needs physical benefits?
If you're looking for what you can do in this world, this power is scary.
We live in
there
a
isn't
technology.
There isn't a
world.
firewall. There's another way. Like the money, he could just make an account that has $5,000, but those 5,000 never go down.
So essentially, you just be financially stable for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
So you'll still die of cancer, or
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, you know what I mean, or
yeah,
like
but
get
the
into
thing
a car
is,
accident.
But the thing is, I would have a very comfortable life. I would have I wouldn't have the fear of how am I going to make the next payment.
Now, would you make the top Forbes list, like the Forbes 100?
No,
I would not.
Wealthiest people.
Nah, it's
No, wait.
publicity.
I would stay in that range of $1 million to $2 million, because there's no need to go higher than that. There is no need to go higher than that.
Okay.
So I mean, a constant $1 million.
Don't try
in
to
my bank
poke
account,
holes
I
in
can
this
do-
because he's gonna help us out, bro.
Yeah, you want to
Are
poke holes?
you?
You want to poke holes? I won't give you $1 million.
Yeah, man. I can have my own cave.
I can speak to your computer.
See, the thing is, like, there's going to be a system. The strongest entity on the entire planet is the IRS, and they'll find out any cents and dollars that will be missing.
How do they find out?
Here's the thing.
They have to go on their
if
computers.
he's able, because he's not on an actual IP, so they can't trace it back to his head.
Right.
They'd have to try to trace it back to the
Where the
computer
money
that
went.
he's talking to.
Right.
The money you send it to an offshore account.
There's no trail. There's no history that the computer
Unless
if
someone
there
is-
is, I erase it.
Yeah, and you literally you would have to be watching the screen as it happens, and as the thing maybe flickers, and that's the event he doesn't know what he's doing, and he lets it flicker. If he's that good, the people we've seen in shows they exhibit, they can just kind of hover their hand, and the computer will do what they want it to.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to connect in network, the IRS can't trace what their computers is allowing to happen. It's not like their computers are being broken into. The firewalls will move for you. So it's, in practicality, can be one of the scariest things for any one person to have in this current world.
Right.
Yeah, because I can mess with. I mean, I'll do it for monetary reasons, but I could do whatever I can corrupt the world.
You have nuclear launch codes.
I have
any
everything.
secret files. You want to know what Russia has hidden away, and you can screw Russia over or China.
Done.
You can erase debt.
Can't say
Actually, you want scary? Carlos with this power would rule over the world with an iron fist.
Right.
Because imagine no debt from China. You just erase it, and China will be all on Cuba. They don't have any computers, so we can't get to them.
But you wouldn't do that, Keith.
No, obviously not. I don't,
No.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
So no one has holes. No one has holes to poke.
The
in
only
this
holes are things on. There's no physical benefit. It becomes an ability that allows you to control. You have some fear you can drive in. You have some stealth because people aren't going to trace you.
Like going back to your point, like you said, I can die in a car crash. I can die whatever. The thing is,
You're still a normal person.
But the difference is the quality of life.
Okay.
That's the difference. I can be immortal. I can have the healing factor, live for 200 years, and have a crappy life.
Right.
Or I can take the life that I already have, what I'm going to have, and make the best out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can make my family.
Now, morally, you're good with this. Morally, you're good with stealing all this.
Absolutely. Because it's not stealing.
It's not stealing other people's money.
I'm taking the fractions that the businesses throw away. Where is it going? It's going to the ether.
Yeah, but it's not yours.
So
it's
what?
nobody's. It stops existing.
It's going exactly
until he brings it out of the void.
So it's not his.
That's fine.
That's fine. So you're good.
There is some moral ambiguity there.
Yeah, of
because
course there
you're
is.
kind of taking other people's cast-offs without them knowing.
Yeah,
that's
and
fine
you
with me.
are a little cheating the system, but at the same time, there's no laws for a computer randomly spawning money into a computer account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with it.
Yet.
After they listen to this podcast, they're gonna start making rules.
Yeah,
the NSA is already working on a system.
Hey, you be quiet because when he gets this power, I want my man cave.
You can get your man cave.
Yeah, but he's gonna fund it for free.
Fund it for free?
He's gonna make
give
imaginary
money
money
for free.
It's not
appear
my
in
money,
a
right?
card. Yeah,
And you wouldn't hold it over anybody? Like, hey, I gave you this much.
you become
I'm not that type of person.
Yeah,
you're not gonna be a slumlord.
You're good enough to steal, but you're not good enough to hold up.
Hey, could you buy
it.
horse country?
I could.
I like this.
I can do
We have a compound.
Yeah, man. I'll make my own city. Fuck that.
So you make your own city? That's not suspicious.
No. Like
Keith Town.
He'd buy horse country little by little under different names,
God, man.
and then we'd all live in different.
Yeah, man.
compounds.
No, because you know what? Because you know what? That doesn't happen. There's this in Florida actually. There's not a booster. Who's the guy a lobbyist? There's a lobbyist in Florida that donates money to I forget what sort of how many different Republican factors, but the man doesn't exist. Like the guy doesn't exist, and they found out that he doesn't exist. So any money donated by this guy is now like red flagged
but
and everything.
who finds out? People behind computers. What's finding it out for them? Computers.
No,
And
man. There's like
so,
you know what it is.
Even so, I can create different people that have their own social security. They have their own birth date. They have dental records.
No,
I can
man,
create
all that stuff. All that stuff is like, where is he?
Listen, everything is ones and zeros.
Okay.
On a computer,
The
information is ones and zeros.
the
I
scary
create
part
that,
is the
it's
scope.
done. It's full. Even for my stupid mind, I can figure out ways to foolproof myself.
There's always a bottom
The
side to
scary part
everything.
is the scope in which you can go, and if you mess up, granted, tech is going to be pretty useless against you. But if you mess up, the things that would come against you are pretty bad. That's the down. The physical, okay. The down is you really have no strikes. Because if this power can be absolutely corrupting, and if you wander too far to something you shouldn't know, and you get caught, you're dead.
It's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen because, for you, no, because you're not gonna wander and be like, "Hey, look at that! There's the Area 51 archive. What's in here? A flickering computer. All of a sudden, fucking UFOs come from nowhere from the U.S. military coming after you.
But how are they gonna find me?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It would take a mistake to somehow trace back.
And no one's infallible, Keith.
I am.
Half-beard, sorry. Alan, you got one?
I think the best, and part of it is because kind of who I am, that have really bad reflexes.
Mm-hmm.
I would choose Dominion over the Speed Force.
Dominion over this.
Which is the power of the Flash.
Okay.
Which the accident kind of caused him to manifest a power. It became something of a science within DC's world. Basically, it's the power that governs velocity. In his case, he's able to think, move, react in light speed. So the world itself is a little slower for him. And he, with that, is able to, you've got the super speed, which in application, you can be good at any job, because if you can think in light speed, you can take your time as far as you're concerned, doing whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But the real world perceives it as, holy crap, this guy's fast.
In regards to, so how would that be in everyday life then?
Well, let's say right now I'm at Chick-Fil-A.
Yeah.
I will never take too long to make a sandwich. It is impossible.
But you would have to control it, right? Like
no, there's a learning curve. You can't just light speed everything. Because the other thing is you light speed
the
everything.
sandwich blows up into a puff of smoke.
It blows up. No, forget that. It blows up. All of a sudden your hands are gone, and then there's a sandwich. People are gonna be like, what did you just? There is a level of control you have to apply.
There's just one chicken, and then a second later it's a sandwich toasted like with the sauce.
Yeah. You've got some physical resistance, because to move at that speed, your knees stop at about, I forgot what the mileage is. Your knees are supposed to break off at a certain speed, and you're running at light speed. So there's some physical benefits. Metabolism kicks up. We talked about this once, that the only real problem would be that you kind of need to be able to feed your ridiculous metabolism.
Yeah, you would have.
How could you afford?
You would
that?
have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to feed yourself.
How could you afford that?
Well, there's two ways to go about it. One, because
Keith?
Well, okay, there's three ways to go about this. Keith bankrolling you.
Yeah.
Which, imagine, he's got to feed himself. So it's about the same. A Speed Force guy and Keith, just mighty stomach. They're about the same.
Yeah.
You could turn to a life of crime. Because let's be honest, if you're moving at light speed, nothing should be able to see you anyway. So you can obtain a hamburger very quickly.
You wouldn't be able to see it, or Jason, you wouldn't be able to stop him with gravity?
If he could see me, yeah.
What if, I kept a permanent field around me? Think about it.
Well, then I just wouldn't be able to enter your field.
Then you could never actually get to me either.
So you guys are fighting now? This is
Okay.
CNN breaking news.
So now
Chick-fil-A
I'll counter
guy,
that. Remember.
and that guy from YouTube fighting.
the applications that he uses. Remember, you can be good at any job if you can move fast enough. So why not? I'm not gonna be a fat guy because my metabolism's gonna kick to fucking hell. So right there, I'm gonna be better looking. I can get better jobs. I can do them quicker. So my life, I could make a life better, making money because of the ability to move faster. I also will be safer from physical injury. I heal a lot faster because everything I do is faster.
Does that mean you die faster?
No, they actually live longer.
How could that be?
I have no. Don't ask me. It's DC science,
is that
bro.
possible?
It's science fiction.
Yeah,
man. I mean, come on.
Not in this
Okay.
scenario. This is real life.
No. All right. If this were the case and the Speed Force existed, that means I am connected to an entire other plane of energy.
Okay.
So that's what's powering me.
Yeah.
That's why they live longer. They stay young longer because they're connected to that thing.
They live longer.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't make sense.
The first Flash is old, but he doesn't look nearly as old as he should be. And he can still run at not light speed, but faster than people.
Okay.
The other thing is that in all cases, no matter what, I'm going to be able to keep myself safe because I can react to anything. If I need to, I can run away from it. Hell, I can vibrate through walls with this power.
Poke holes through this with me. Somebody.
It's kind of hard to poke holes in the Speed Force because I mean, you're the fastest being on Earth. I mean, the only thing is what effect you have on the world around you.
Yeah.
Because if you're running at, let's just say, the speed of sound.
And you would do that in everyday life? You would run at the
No,
speed
you
of
wouldn't
sound?
have to, but you could. Like if I wanted to get to work and I need to be there at 8:01.
How'd you get here? Where's your car? I
took the bus. Somebody's going to ask. What the hell?
Bus.
Look, man, I'm working at Chick-Fil-A. They're not asking me where my car is.
Okay.
All right? But I need to get there at 1. I wake up at 7:55. I'm dressed at 7:55. I'm out the door. And I'm at work at 7:55.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I was trying to get to is that what is your effect of the world around you?
Well,
because at the speed that you move, how you affect other things. Just let's say you run at the speed of sound. Once you hit that speed of sound, let's say you're on the road and that sonic boom happens, the windows would explode. And that's just running at 700 miles an hour. We're not talking about light speed here.
Now, one of the benefits to Speed Force specifically, because Superman, because of the power that he has, can run close, not quite light speed, but close.
Mm-hmm.
That's a brute power. That's actually a physical body breaking through things in the air. The Speed Force, because it's an energy, it kind of coats the user. So the physics effects that he has, when you break the speed of a sound barrier, you don't cause a sonic boom yet. By about light speed, yeah, you're tearing some world around you. But at like the speed of sound, you're kind of lubricated through the world because of that power.
So you just cover yourself in lube before you run out.
No, it's the electricity that goes around my body.
There's no negative aspects with having that.
The negatives is if I get into a superhuman fight, like with Jason the Gravity Master there, the only ways to get to him are creative uses of my speed, where I like vibrate my hand into a tornado and throw it at him so that the air has to do the damage because I can't.
Be on CNN.
It would be YouTube versus
Channel
Chick-Fil-A.
7, yes.
Fastest Chick-fil-A sandwich maker versus
What about
YouTuber.
psychologically? You don't think you would get so bored with everyday life because
that's a good point.
because you're so much faster than everybody else?
We've had this discussion before that for these Speed Force users, the idea of time being relative to your speed, do you feel the world as like an eternity? Or do you kind of live it normally and just the gaps between I left here at light speed and ended up here? Like to you, it might feel different in trip.
Well, I would say because you're on the different energy than the rest of us, the rest of the world is slower.
Yeah, I would say so too because in the comics, the Flash, they're always known like they have to speak slower. So basically, you would have to talk but much slower than that to actually talk to
the same
the
speed.
audible to have the audible the oscillations of the sound waves to match up with human ears.
Right.
One of the best ones in Young Justice, the Flash's grandson comes from the future, and he is at the same level as the Flash, talent-wise with the Speed Force,
Mhm.
and the Flash's sidekick, Kid Flash, isn't. So they're dealing with something, and the two of them start having an idea, but because they're at the same speed level, they start accelerating, and it's not affecting their communication. And Kid Flash is sitting there, and a cop goes, "Do you know what they're saying?" Because at that point it was,
Yeah.
it's like, I get every third word. It hits him on the shoulder. Guys, we don't know what you're saying. Slow down.
Right.
Most Flashes have shown a bit of impatience because it's true. You have that ability to instantly kind of get places. So you're going to be impatient.
Yeah.
But if this has such a positive effect on your life, your health, your ability to do a job, you can surround yourself with enough happiness that you'll be fine
So
suffering
you
through.
would be okay speaking like this forever.
And not only
Have
that,
you met my
the
brother?
the world around you would be moving so slow,
Yeah.
a relative towards you,
Seriously.
because you going to what he says, you think at the speed of sound. That is your normal speed of thinking. You can, I mean, how do you slow down your thought speed? So you're always thinking at light speed. So when you're just walking down the street, people are almost at a standstill.
Yeah.
Your perception of time is completely different.
And to make it even to you today, can you imagine standing in the front? What would you like to order? And someone doesn't know. You're like,
Even if someone does know,
that's an
maybe,
eternity.
Like
One of the things that
7.
happen is I think that a feeling, that effect happens the more they allow that power, the more they exert that power. So at a standstill, it's still there because you are still already faster, but you're still thinking a lot closer to humanity than you are at light speed. When you exert that power, because you're moving at light speed, the reaction is to force everything upstairs to go at light speed. So there is a little bit of swing depending on how much you're exerting at that moment. But it's still in effect. It is going to still feel slower.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you then have experienced this light speed thing is going to make people even slower to you from there, because you're just going to be like, coño, this was so much faster. So you'll do, if you can deal with the impatience, what you get out of that power, the ability to make a good job.
Do you have ADD?
No. Well, I'm not really sure. I know I have a fine motor skills disability, which is basically like the wiring from my head to outside reaches of wiring is really, really bad.
Okay.
So I think the funniest one I've seen from it is I used to play Arkham Asylum, and him and his brother came, and they're watching me, and there's like a good half second where something happens on the screen, and there's like a pause on me, and then I move. And it's in all kinds of other places.
Right.
But there's just like a processing point because my wiring is slow, which is probably why I favor this power so much.
Yeah.
I kind of want to have real reflexes.
Yeah, the only problem I see is where that relativity comes in, because if you do have the Speed Force, and let's say, let's go with physics here. You would be living in a world by yourself. That would be it, because I mean, we can talk about the Speed Force and how you're outside the realm of physics and stuff like that, but if we're just talking about real life here, you would live what for normal people would be a second would be almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And
you would live long.
Yeah, you'd have I'm not saying you're going to live 300 years.
No, I'm just saying you would live a longer lifespan than normal under that circumstance. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah. But the thing is that
your experience of time is 10 times or 100 times more, or even 1,000 times more than what we would
that's
experience.
also depending on how that Speed Force interacts with the physics time delay type thing. Because if you're not exerted and you're not feeling the world, or like if you're not running at light speed already inside and you're running closer to your mortal speed, the world isn't going to feel. You're not always. Like, think about a car.
No, I get that, but I don't think your normal speed would be, like, your mortal speed would be normal.
No, I'm not saying it's me at normal. I'm saying it's going to be elevated, but it isn't going to be to the point where we start dealing with time relativity, where my seconds are actually like nanoseconds, or the other way around. I don't remember how the math will work for that one. But, like, 5 seconds for me feels like an eternity because I'm pumping at light speed.
Right.
The power isn't at full tilt all the time. It relaxes. You use it on call. So you aren't just living 5 seconds of eternity every 5 seconds.
And you'd be constantly eating.
Hey, that's not bad.
Okay, yeah, because we got to wrap this up soon. My superpower that I would have in my everyday life would be a limited time that I would be able to freeze. It could be 10, 15 seconds that I would be able to be freeze time.
Oh, time itself. Okay.
I feel like I've seen this in Japanese anime. It usually leads to a girl's locker room.
15 seconds. For instance, I'll say freeze. I would have 10 to 15 seconds for me, basically like Alan, light speed or whatever. Freeze, and I'd be able to adjust if I'm taking a test, because it's my everyday life. So if I'm freeze, take a test, walk down, see what the answer sheet is, walk back up, take the test, get 100. Now I have a master's in economics. You know what I mean?
Okay, so what is the time difference? Like, you freeze time 15 seconds. What's the cooldown rate, if you will?
The cooldown rate?
Like, okay, for example, there's a character in Dragon Ball that does something similar where he holds his breath and time stops.
Oh, right.
So you're the little frog from the Ginyu Force.
Yeah.
All right?
How much time in between you can use the powers? Huh? How much time in between that you can use the powers?
I would say
once.
I don't know. Give me a time.
All right.
Well, that's very important.
Like that guy was doing it with his breath. You can only hold your breath like that for so long, and then it's got to stop. But then once he gets his breath back, he can do it again.
Yeah.
So would you be able to just pause it, unpause, and immediately pause it again? Because in that case, you've got something a little worse than even what my power was. You're literally stopping time and skipping through time.
I would say the break in between would be as long as I freeze time. So if I freeze time for 30 seconds, it takes me 30 seconds to freeze time again.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. And that leaves you with some flexibility in case you need to use it for emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
You could stop in moments or stop big moments if you had to.
Oh, if I'm in a fight, freeze. You know what I mean? Then I just like I'd get out of the way. He swings, freeze. You know what I mean? Then I get my hand in, unfreeze, and then punch him.
Okay. Okay.
I hit the mic by accident.
Now the thing is, we're gonna delve into physics here. When you freeze time, technically you are speeding up.
Technically, I'm speeding up. Okay.
Yes. So you are moving faster than the
so it's not like I stop the universe and I'm just normal. I speed up.
Right,
okay.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as the time relative in the world is concerned, you sped up.
Right. So the thing is now you're on a different level than he is. Now you actually have interaction with the world around you.
Yeah.
So technically you would be moving at light speed. So at that point, actually you'd be moving faster than light. At that point, I'm going to be poking holes in this one. At that point, your interaction with just the molecules of air, the energy expelled from that would probably be equal to, let's say, 2,800 nukes.
Where do you get that number from?
From a pause state, an above average, because he saw a video discussing Superman who can move sometimes at a close to light speed range.
Mm-hmm.
What would his punch do with physics? And
Right.
the sheer friction of his arm moving at that speed.
This is just interaction with air molecules.
Right.
The heat that you would give off, the actual explosion, you would actually create fusion with your movements.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, to get that 100, you have destroyed the entire East Coast.
Yeah. I think the graphic you had, it destroyed all of Southern California. Like the entire southern chunk of the U.S. gone because he decided to throw a light speed punch.
There would be a 15-mile radius around you that there would be nothing.
Wouldn't you just not be able to move?
No, you would.
If
he's moving. What do you mean he would not be able to
No.
move?
If he stops time, moving means he himself is interacting with air also.
As soon as he moves from that inch or centimeter, he's already creating that friction.
That's what I'm saying. So does that mean, does he let it go after he's moved, that friction happens? Or
That
is
friction
he
happens
safer?
as soon as he moves. As soon as he comes in contact with the air.
Your power might have some holes in it, sir.
Literally, a 15-mile radius. So it's a sphere around you.
Right.
The ground underneath you, the ground around you have created genocide.
Well, can I rephrase it then? Instead of freezing time, can I freeze the people around me?
So you're what? Because there's other ways to do it.
Oh, okay. So you're almost like a
He's going
Professor
for
X.
Yeah, he's going for high end telepathy,
right.
where he can shut down their mental processes and have them stop.
Okay. Now, I'm with you now. I'm with
That's
you.
because I don't want to
completely
blow up the East Coast.
Okay,
Yeah,
that not only is
You
that
would definitely be on the news.
yeah, exactly.
Naked guy in the
Wait.
middle of a 15-mile crater.
Hey, this whole county, all of Broward County, gone today in a
Alan's
flash
running
bomb.
and he sees the world blowing up behind him, and he's like, "What?" Yeah. Okay.
I tell you, bro, you choose a power that has a lubricant, bro.
So that's what I would be. I would basically, that's a good one. Professor X style, just freeze this building if I wanted to,
Right.
and I'm able to walk, and then, but it would still be the same duration. If I freeze for 15 seconds, and it can't be more than a minute. I don't think it can be more than a minute.
Here's the thing. If you're going into Xavier range, you're going into high-end telepathy. So you also are accessing communications, rewriting memory, accessing memory and data. There's a lot of things. If you're going in
But
that
I don't
range,
want all that.
you don't have to do it. It's
It's
just
more
there.
than one power, isn't that?
No, that's telepathy. That's the ability to communicate and go into a mind.
Well,
You're
okay,
applying it with the freeze.
How about this? He's just applying it that one way.
Okay.
That's the only way he knows how. He hasn't developed his powers anymore.
Yeah, no one's gonna teach me.
There's no Professor X because he is Professor X.
Well, yeah.
No, it's because Professor X got ripped into fucking particles in that shitty ass movie
don't start.
by fucking.
No,
Please
we're not gonna get
don't
into
He's
that.
coming.
Ah!
Please
No,
don't
we're not gonna
start.
go into that.
He's coming back, isn't he?
Yes, thank God, because the real director came back to X-Men.
Okay.
We'll do that for the next show. Yelling at X-Men and the original Spider-Man movies.
So I freeze basically everyone there, and it's my everyday life. If a girl asks me, "Do you love me?" I freeze time, and it gives me seriously maybe 45 seconds to think of a good answer before I unfreeze time again.
Now,
You know what I
are you
mean?
freezing? Well, no, you'd be freezing within a radius.
I'd be freezing.
So you could
within the
actually
radius,
freeze the girl. Google what are the best answers to this.
Yeah.
And if your phone is fast enough, you've done research.
Right. Can I freeze that? Make a phone call, have them miss it, unfreeze it, and then right as I'm about to answer, they call me back.
Yeah.
And be like, "Oh, sorry, I gotta take this." You know what I mean? One of those.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could code blue, yeah.
And the thing is, I'll never be on the radar because I'll just be on everyday life. But I'll have the greatest luck in the world. The greatest luck in the world.
Now the problems that would come across is that you're technically messing with the brain.
With the brain.
You're physically, no, not really. Yeah, I would say physically messing with the brain. So I would say I don't know what you have to
Yeah, what you're shutting down.
You're technically destroying a part of the memory of the brain. So each time you do it,
Destroying or just
no, but even
holding
stopping
the
it,
person
the
to hold
process
button.
is it's recording. If you're forcibly stopping, you could damage something.
yeah, you're
And the other thing to
damaging the brain.
consider, you're stopping their brain. That doesn't mean you're stopping their bodies. Your time freeze, besides the fact that it broke physics by exploding counties, that stopped reality. So someone on like half a foot leaning over stops.
Right.
Your mind freeze only stops their mind. So whereas they might be about to react to recover and not fall on their face down the stairs.
Well, doesn't that happen in the X-Men movies? Something like someone's skateboarding and he just stays in the air like that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that would have to be a dual, like Jean Grey would also be helping him out.
Like, yeah, because I could freeze
It'd
them
have to
and their
have
body.
telekinesis to hold it.
Right.
But
the thing is about that's a really good point. That would that mess up their equilibrium? Because how you are able to stand up straight is what the inner ear, like you have an equilibrium that you can be able to hold yourself up. Now, if you shut down that certain part of the brain, is that still working? Because then you say, okay, wait, stop, and they just flop over.
Like imagine
they just face plant on the ground.
Imagine it as sensors, and it's sending stuff to the brain, so the brain can do the adjustments. Your brain is now frozen, so sensors are like, hey, you, and it's just a guy frozen and just like leaning and falling on his, not even being able to brace himself, just
plant.
Or they just their knees buckle and they hold down.
That's another point. If all muscles give out,
So basically, my power is to make people fall.
Yeah,
It's to
and
trip
them not
fall.
remembering, they're like, how the hell did I get in the ground?
Oh,
Like,
man,
what happened?
You should have seen what
God,
happened.
you know how many torn ACLs you're gonna create? Like people falling at awkward angles and then getting up, and like, The fuck happened to my knee?
Right. I'll be the New York Jets training staff. Work out for everybody. All right. We've been here for a very long time.
Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah.
Good show. First show of the Nerd Table. We'll see when we come back. We'll come back maybe in a couple weeks. Maybe do it twice a month, once every 3 weeks, something like that. This is good. And we have a lot to get to. So I want to thank Keith and Alan and Jason for doing this with me. This has been an idea that we've had for a while, and I'm glad we finally got to it. That's it, man. Next time we get together, what are we going to cover? We'll cover...
We can cover our anger toward movies and your amazement at how angry we are.
Yeah.
You will go.
We can. We only dug into one power.
We only delved into one.
Yeah,
power.
like I have a list of 3 powers.
Well,
that
I mean, there's also the next debate I want to have is what creates what? Do supervillains create superheroes or the other way around?
Or vice versa. Okay.
You know, I think that's more.
That could be a segment all to itself.
Yeah. So we have so much to get to here on the Nerd Table. Thanks for listening, everyone out there. This show is honestly, I think it's 4 hours.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
all for Carlos.
God,
all for you, Carlos.
Man. So if you stayed to the end, we appreciate it. We'll catch everyone next time, right?
Thanks, Ebes.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.